Buying a home is one of the best ways to build wealth. That's good advice, and for millions of people, it's absolutely true. The part that gets left out is that the same advice can make you poorer if you follow it at the wrong time, in the wrong market, or for the wrong length of time. There's a reason housing economists still use a 5 to 7 year break-even rule before buying usually starts paying off. Leave sooner and the math changes fast. Stay longer and it often flips back the other way. So if you've been treating buy beats rent as a universal rule, there's one assumption hiding underneath it that changes everything. Derek and Nina both turned 29 this year, both make $72,000, both have $65,000 sitting in savings. Money they've protected for years by skipping vacations and driving cars longer than their friends did. Derek finds a $325,000 house he loves, puts the full $65,000 down, and locks a 30-year mortgage at 6.5%. Today's actual national average, not the inflated number most online calculators still default to. Nina renews her lease down the street, takes her $65,000, and drops it into an S&P 500 index fund inside her Roth IRA. Both of them believe they made the responsible, grown-up choice. Both of them would tell you the other one is taking the risk. The homeownership crowd on your feed shows you a paid-off house decades from now and calls that proof. The renting crowd shows you the freedom to move cities on a whim and calls that proof too. Neither one shows you what actually happens between today and that finish line, which is the only part that determines who's right. Only one of them has actually run the numbers, and it isn't either of them. It's about to be you. Here's why the first year of a mortgage lies to you. Derek's loan is $260,000. His payment comes to $1,643 a month. Of that first payment, $1,408 goes straight to the bank as interest. Only $235 chips away at what he actually owes. Think of it like a brand new hire's first paycheck, where almost the entire gross amount disappears into withholding before a single dollar becomes take-home pay. The number on the pay stub looks substantial. What lands in the account barely moves. That's Derek's mortgage for most of the next decade. A big number on paper, a small dent underneath it. And here's the part his real estate agent never walks him through at closing. Because he put the full 20% down, he skips private mortgage insurance entirely. A cost Nina never has to think about because she's not carrying a loan at all. That's the one place, on day one, where Derek's decision quietly worked in his favor. Now watch what happens to both of them over time. We're not going to guess what Derek's house will be worth in 20 years, because nobody honestly knows that, and any video that hands you a confident appreciation number is selling you a guess dressed up as math. What we can calculate is what he's actually paid down, and what Nina has actually grown. 10 years in, Derek has chipped his loan balance down to $220,000, meaning he's built roughly $39,500 in real equity from payments alone. Nina's $65,000, left completely alone in that index fund at the market's long-run nominal average of 10%, has grown to roughly $169,000 in that same decade. She's already ahead, and she hasn't added a single new dollar. Push it to 20 years. Derek's balance has dropped to $145,000, putting his total equity from paydown alone at around $115,000. Nina's original $65,000, still untouched, is now worth north of $437,000. That gap is not close. Here's the part that should bother you more than it probably does. If Derek ever sells that house, an agent takes roughly 5.7% of the sale price off the top. Real estate's actual current national average, not the flat 6% everyone still quotes. Nina never pays that fee because she was never all in on one address in one zip code. Ask anyone who owned in Las Vegas during the last housing bust. Prices there fell about 60% from peak to bottom, nearly double the national decline. Nina's money is spread across 500 companies. Derek's down payment is locked inside one building on one street, and he can't sell 5% of his kitchen to cover an emergency. But Nina's advantage has a catch nobody talks about. It only works if she actually leaves the money alone through every crash, every layoff scare, every tempting withdrawal, which is a lot harder in practice than it sounds on a spreadsheet. Derek's mortgage forces the discipline on him automatically. Nina has to supply her own. And even under normal conditions, buying typically doesn't out-earn renting and investing until somewhere around 5 to 7 years of ownership. Sell before that, and the math was never on your side to begin with. So here's what actually decides this for you. Not for Derek, not for Nina. For you. First, find your local price-to-rent ratio. Divide a home's price by a full year of comparable rent for a similar place nearby. Below 15, buying tends to win outright. Above 20, renting usually comes out ahead, no matter how convincing the mortgage calculator looks. Second, if you can't commit to at least 5 to 7 years in that specific home, don't buy it yet, because the math simply hasn't broken even by then, and a move out before that point can erase years of paydown in one commission check. Third, if you do buy, put down the full 20% when you can actually swing it without draining your emergency fund. Because that single move erases private mortgage insurance for good and lowers what you owe the bank every single month after. Fourth, budget 1% of the home's value every single year for maintenance, roughly $270 a month on a home like Derek's. Because that bill is coming whether you plan for it or not, and skipping it doesn't make it disappear, it just makes it a surprise. And if none of these fully fit your situation, remember there's a third option neither Derek nor Nina considered: buying a place with a rentable second unit, and letting a tenant cover part of that mortgage while you keep investing on the side anyway. That's a different video, and one worth making. You didn't need a better opinion on rent versus buy. You needed the one number your calculator never shows you: what your money actually does while you're not watching it.